Morning Year 3, I hope you had a fantastic half term and you're well rested and ready to continue with our online learning, hopefully for only a couple of weeks more before we get to see you all. Now we are continuing with our natural disasters topic this term, and in English we're going to have a little bit more of a focus on volcanoes, earthquakes, all those kind of things, so we're really going to focus our literacy around that. And for these first few weeks we are going to be having a look at something to do with Pompeii. So we're going to do a bit of an experience day today. So there's no official learning chunks and writing, but we're going to get you to do loads of thinking, collecting of ideas, and a little bit of background knowledge to help us with the writing that we are going to complete for the next few weeks. So we're starting off what we call it today an experience day. So I have a picture here. Now it looks relatively old. We're not talking about a photograph, we're talking about a painting. But I've also got 3 questions here. What do you think is happening in this picture? What can you see is happening in the background? And what can we infer from facial expressions? So what can we kind of find out about feelings from those facial expressions of those people? So there's loads going on in this picture. So I'm going to start in general with the weather and things like that. It's a very dark picture. Now we've got some orange going along here as well. And unless it's very early in the morning, we don't tend to get an orange sky. So what on earth is causing that really bright, vibrant orange to be in our picture? And then we've just got this cloud of darkness across the sky as well. Now, if we think about our topic, we think about natural disasters, we might be able to have a think about what is happening in this picture. Now, we've got buildings looking like they're falling down here, statues coming down, and all of these people, in their facial expressions, to me, look absolutely petrified. So I want you to have a pause the video, and I want you to have a chat with a grown-up if they're around, or just have a think to yourself, what is happening, what can you see in the background, and what do we think about their facial expressions? Pause the video and come back to me in just a second. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little bit of background knowledge now about Pompeii, which is to do with this picture. So the image that you have just seen was a painting called The Last Day of Pompeii. So what do you think it showed, and what might the story have been telling us? Well, I can tell you that in Pompeii there is a mountain called Mount Vesuvius, and it is a volcano. And it erupted, and it was a devastating eruption, and this happened a couple of thousand years ago. And what happened to Pompeii was it basically was completely covered and destroyed by the volcano, and so we didn't find out about this until much later, a good few hundred years later. Okay, so this picture here is of Pompeii with Mount Vesuvius in the background. Now this picture is not from the time that it happened, and this is not what Pompeii looks like now because it has been destroyed by the volcano. So it's kind of like an imagination of what it could have been like. So we've got the town of Pompeii down here and Vesuvius in the background, which is obviously erupting. So it wasn't just a small volcanic eruption that happened, it was a huge, devastating eruption. Now, it shows all the people running away from Mount Vesuvius in Pompeii, and this did not happen a few hundred years ago. This happened a couple of thousand years ago. So it actually happened in AD 79. So we're now in 2021. So we're looking at nearly 2,000 years ago that Mount Vesuvius erupted. And it erupted on the 24th of August, so a nice summer's day, and it destroyed Pompeii. We are going to be looking at a story about 2 children who were actually in Pompeii on the 24th of August 79 AD, and we are going to be looking at retelling the story of what happened to them during this devastating natural disaster. So I'm going to give you a little bit more information about Pompeii itself. So Pompeii is in Italy. It's just here on our map. It's on the Bay of Italy, so it's along the coast. So we do have the sea that's running by it. Now it's not like a volcanic eruption isn't like a fire that we could go and get buckets out of the sea and pour it in a volcano. That is not going to stop the volcanic eruption. It's a natural disaster. All that magma is coming out of the volcano, and unfortunately there is no way to stop it. So this city, Pompeii, had been built at the bottom of the volcano, and we'll learn in geography why cities are built there. Although it has the negative of the eruption, there's also some really good things that you can get from living at the bottom of a volcano. So when Mount Vesuvius erupted in 79 AD, Pompeii was a really busy city and it had a population of about 20,000 people. So there's quite a lot of people that lived there. If you think our school community is only about 350, we're looking at 20,000 people. So a lot of people that lived in Pompeii. So what happened on the 24th of August? Well, at 1 p.m, Mount Vesuvius erupted, and it was so violent that it actually blew the top of the volcano off. So the volcano was slightly covered, and all of the magma that was building inside was so powerful, it blew open and made a little bit of a hole. And it says here that molten rock, so really hot rock from inside the earth, was thrown 15 kilometres into the sky at an incredible speed. Now that is really quite a long way. From Chatham to Canterbury, we're looking at about 2.5 kilometres. So we've got like 6 times as far from Canterbury to Chatham. That's how far this molten rock was thrown, which is a huge distance. Boiling hot lava rock being flung towards you, be absolutely petrifying. So when the volcano erupted, not only did you have all this molten rock flying everywhere, but you also had this huge ash cloud. And if we think back to this picture here, that is what is at the top of our picture. This is the volcanic eruption, all the molten rock flying, and this is the ash cloud that is formed from the volcanic eruption too. So the whole city was covered in this molten rock and the ash cloud, which means that you can't breathe properly. And it was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. Now I have a little video here to show you, which is a reconstruction of what might have happened at the time of Pompeii. Now obviously we are talking nearly 2,000 years ago. We did not have things like cameras or films. We just didn't have that. So that is why I've shown you paintings of the time, because people couldn't get out their phones and start recording what was going on. This is all from what we know afterwards, what we can see using our history and geography skills that might have happened. So I'm going to show you this video just to give you a really good understanding of what might have happened and how it might have felt to be in Pompeii at the time of the 24th of August 79 AD.
Of Pompeii, 1st century AD. An affluent, vibrant and progressive hub near Naples, with Mount Vesuvius towering over the city. Inactive for centuries, the people of Pompeii had no fear of the great volcano. But deep inside Vesuvius, molten rock had been leaking from the Earth's crust. A thick plug of rock in the volcano blocked its exit, and explosive pressure slowly grew inside. On the morning of August 24th, 79 AD, Pompeii was about to meet its fate. The volcano finally erupted, sending molten rock 15 kilometers into the sky. The day turned black as the hot rock mixed with the air over Pompeii, blocking the sun, cooling and falling on the city as pumice rock, ash and rain. 4 billion tons of material would fall on Pompeii within 24 hours. Ash and magma collided in the air, triggering volcanic lightning. As the eruption continued, the magma chamber eventually emptied and collapsed. The first pyroclastic surge towards Pompeii begins. These are ground-hugging avalanches of hot ash, pumice and volcanic gas that rush towards Pompeii at 100 kilometers per hour. The first surge falls just short of the city. But asphyxiation from toxic gas and ash killed many. 16 hours after the first eruption, the volcano column completely gave way. Pyroclastic waves smashed through houses. leaving victims instantaneously encased in blankets of ash and pumice. The city and its people were frozen in time. Mount Vesuvius buried Pompeii in 25 meters of volcanic rock and ash. Pompeii was rediscovered by accident over 1,500 years later, in 1594. The buildings and its people having been encased in ash and preserved in time.
So just like you have seen in the video, there is a picture here of Pompeii, which was found hundreds of years later. Now, this is somebody who unfortunately died from the volcanic eruption, and their body has been mummified. It's almost like a snapshot of frozen in time of what happened. So I've got a few questions on the side here, and I would like you to pause the video and talk to a grown-up if you've got one, or jot down some ideas. What would you ask these people who lived through Mount Vesuvius eruption in Pompeii? So what, where, when, why, how and who? So pause the video and then just have a think about that for me, please. Okay, so hopefully you've got some really interesting thoughts there, and you're always welcome to do a little bit more research into this if you're really interested. As devastating as volcanic eruptions are, I think they are really fascinating and really exciting, and so I'm very happy we get to learn about this for the next few weeks. Now, you have got a slight activity for me to do today, and that's just to collect some sentences and some ideas that we could use in our story writing for the next few weeks. So on Teams, you will find a document. Now, guys, you might remember this looks really similar. When we did the Iron Man a few terms ago, we had a very similar sheet that had a picture of Iron Man in the middle, and then it had all the fantastics around the outside, and we collected sentences based on each fantastic. We're going to do a similar sort of thing, but this time thinking about Mount Vesuvius as our centre point. So on your sheet, you've got all of your fantastics: feeling, asking, noticing, touch, action, smell, taste, hearing, checking, and then imagining. And I'd like you to come up with a sentence for each of those fantastics. Now, yes, it could be very basic. I felt scared, but you're year 3, we're halfway through year 3. How could you make your sentences really exciting, really interesting? And you can pull these out for the next few weeks and use them in your story writing. So this is giving you a little bit of a head start and a little bit of boost of what you can do. So that is what I'd like you to do today. Now, the file probably is easiest to be printed off. It doesn't work very well with being on Teams. Or if you don't have a printer, you could simply draw the little fantastic and then write your sentences next to it. And if you are able to upload it, that'd be great. Have a lovely Monday, guys, and I will see you tomorrow.